What's going on, my good people? Mike Hidalgo here. Thank you for joining me on another FCP Euro DIY. Today we are working on our 2015 BMW F82 M4. So today on our F82, we are going to be covering how to replace the speakers. If you're looking to replace your old, blown out, torn speakers and you don't want to think too hard about it, and you also want to improve the sound quality in your car while you're at it, the Bavsound Stage 1 upgrade is going to be the way to go. Whether you have the standard bass audio or the hi-fi or the Harman Kardon, we have all those kits available on fcpo.com. This should be a pretty straightforward install. One thing to mention that you may want to consider getting, along with the speaker kit of course, is some new panel clips for your door cards. Just because as these cars age, that plastic is now 9-10 years old, if not older, depending on when you're watching this video, and more than likely they're going to break. So we'll have a link in the video description below for those as well. But with that, let's take a look at some of the tools you're going to need for this DIY. For this job, we're going to be using a flashlight. We have a 1/4-inch ratchet. As far as sockets go, we're going to be using a T25 and a T20. I also have a stubby T20 for the deck lid and dash speaker. We have two trim removal tools, a plastic and a metal one. We'll see which one works better for us in this application. I have a small 3/8 to 1/4-inch adapter on the electric ratchet just to speed things up a bit. And like anything else with a DIY like this, where it's not necessarily complicated, but a little bit tedious, watch all the way to the end in case we add anything else in the mix. Now with that, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start by removing our dash grill first. We'll tackle the center speaker and then we'll move on to the doors using our trim removal tool and just trying to get our way under here and start popping this baby up. Just going really gentle. You don't want to break this. Just going to work our way around. Now you'll see with the Harman Kardon we have the mid-range and the tweeter. If you have the hi-fi, you may just have the speaker, and if you have the bass, then you might not have that at all. So now we're going to remove the 3 T20s that hold our mid-range and the 2 for the tweeter. Now we can pull these babies out, and you'll notice, just like these speakers and the rest of them throughout the car, the tweeter and the mid-range are connected within each other. So we're going to pop this cable out here, and you'll see that the tweeter goes directly to the back side of the mid-range. Now, these all look the same on all 4 corners of the car, if you will. So if you can't see it too great here, we'll definitely get a better view at it when we get to the door cards. But we're simply going to pull back the connector. Let's undo our tweeter. Technically, you can just do this one that comes off the car and pull the 2 out together. This is the one we're going to be reusing. Get rid of our old mid-range here. You can see compared to the new one has a much nicer coating. Probably going to be a lot more UV resistant in the long run. And the new one has 2 plugs. These are a little bit different. One's going to take the plug coming out of the dash or the car, and then the new style plug is going to go to our tweeter. So pretty straightforward. So let's drop in our tweeter first. I'm just going to trap this part of it under here. See if we can get it to catch. There's like a little clip that holds in the stock harness underneath the tweeter. And if we can get this one just trapped in there, it'll keep it from dancing around. Something like that. Let's get this tweeter in here like so. Just be mindful, you don't want to bind up the ends of where the speaker wire comes out. All right, now we can plug in our tweeter to our speaker. They only go in one way, so don't worry about mixing up the plug. And that we're gonna tuck down like so. There's a little cut here in the spot where the speaker goes to help that cable go through, which we'll tuck in better as we set this down. Make sure to push this connector all the way in until it clips. All right, now let's tuck this wiring down. You'll notice that the speakers have different lengths between the ends of the bolt holes. These two are the flat side, if you will. It's like a triangle. strongest shape known to Earth, just Earth. So this side is going to point towards the steering wheel, and these two will point towards the tweeter. All right, bunch more speakers left to go. The process is honestly the same for all the corners. So next we're going to move on to the door. We'll show you how to get the door card off and go from there. All right, to get our door card off, we're going to be working on the passenger side. However, the driver's side is going to be identical. We have this first piece of trim to remove. We're going to pop it out with our trim removal tool and then lift it out towards the car, if you will. There's a little hook at the bottom. So you're just going to lift that up, get that popped, and then don't rip it out, just lift it up and towards the inside of the car. There's this little L-shaped tab that goes in behind this little metal bracket on the door card, which we'll focus on later. That's going to give us access to the two T25s that are helping hold this door card in place. We have a hole up top, wherever my finger's going, and we have one down here at the bottom. You're not really going to see the T25 go in, but take my word for it that they are in there. All right, let's get this window switch freed up. We're going to pop our trim removal tool from the front half, like so, being mindful of the leather. This is a little tab that we're pushing on, which you can see someone has glued. So someone has messed with this in the past, which we know for a fact, because if you've seen anything on the behind the scenes over on the FCP Media channel, you'll know that everything was Superman blue, including this trim. So understandable. We're going to disconnect our electrical connector. On the driver's side, you'll have a cammed plug, if you will, where you push the little tab on the top and slide it backwards to release the plug. This one is just a regular pull out, since it's just the one button, just like that. Now with that free, we're going to work our way around and get the panel clips freed up. Easy thing to do is just kind of grab the door card and just give it a nice pull from the bottom here. Once you get one started, you get your fingers in all the way. Push away from the door with your thumb. Then once we get to the top here, we'll do the same thing. And that's going to free that up. Depending on how your car is equipped, you may have some interior lighting. So just be sure to disconnect that. This one's nice and short. Our door handle literally just pulls out, nice and easy. And then we can kind of just, if we want, we can free up this cable here and just lower the door card like so. We don't really have to worry about pulling it off all the way. But if you want to, again, it's just one more plug down here for the door lighting. Just pull that baby out. And now that's way more free. That just comes out for the window switch. Next, we're going to undo our tweeter and then our door speaker. Tweeter, we're just going to pull the housing again, kind of how we did with the door, pushing away from the door while also lifting up ever so slightly. Then we're going to separate that from our speaker. Now the tweeter is a little funky. The wiring is routed throughout the insulation. So we'll pop that insulation and you can kind of get an idea of how it goes. And it just literally goes around and around to take up some of the slack. Using our metal trim removal tool, there's 4 little clips in here that hold this tweeter into place. Once you get a few of them going, they kind of just give up and let this thing out. So I like to pry near those clips and we're free. We'll take our new tweeter, pop that baby in, make sure it clips in all the way around. Oh yeah. And then, like so, B5 thumb, the wires routed through. Now let's pop this baby back into place. You'll see this bottom one has a little bit of an angle to it, which is kind of why we lifted it up and out at the same time. So we're gonna go in, line this one up, and that goes in this bottom hook here. And then the top one finalizes everything. Be mindful of the weather stripping here. You can always peel it back with your trim removal tool if you pinch it. Not the end of the world. So just trying to line up, go down. You'll be able to tell also if this isn't seating right when you put your door card back in and nothing lines up. All right, let's get the speaker unplugged. Same deal. 3 T20s. Let's zap those babies out. All right, before we get the speaker in, you'll notice that the wiring for this runs on the inside versus the outside. So you can go about this two ways. You can come via the inside of the moisture barrier. This glue or adhesive separates, but it will go back together, which is the route we're gonna take. We'll just route the wires out from behind. The other thing you can do is take this grommet out, pierce a hole through it, and now you have a grommet with the wires running through it. You can just pop that out from the backside or use your trim removal tool. So you can go about it either way. I think I'm just gonna go through the moisture barrier for this one. So let me lift that up a bit. And again, just being careful if you're going the moisture barrier route. You don't wanna rip the actual foam. You can rip the glue by separating it, that's no problem. You can also cut it with a razor blade, but this stuff bounces back, you know? Oh, and before we put the speaker on, Bavsound includes some foam rings. These foam rings help go on the outside so you can help drive the sound waves of your music directly to your ears without letting any of it leak out. So we'll go ahead and put that on. And now we'll take our plugs and join the two. Let's push this moisture barrier back into place. I'm going to tuck this up here with this other wiring. I'm going to run this through the back here so that there's some tension on that. Okay, all the way in. We just have to be mindful that we don't get this wire in the way of the panel clip. Here we go. If you want to go crazy, you can take some gaff tape and kind of tape this down, which we might do so it's not moving around, or you can kind of zip tie the whole thing together. Either way is going to be fine. Maybe a zip tie will be nicer for what we're doing here. Let me grab one of those. All right, let's get this door card back over here. Let's make sure we didn't break any clips. No, we had this apart, or this has been apart, you can see, but all these clips are good. All right, let's get this window switch running back into our door card here. On the outside, I'm going to be pushing the door latch so that it is in the closed position, like so. This little baby just keys in, push it in, and we're back in business, all right? Let's get our door lighting plugged back in, plugged in. Let's get this baby back in this little hole here, just a little expanding rivet. And this one, I'm just gonna tuck back here. The fabric that went around it is no longer with us, but that'll hold it from hanging around too much. Feel all the way around. You don't want any gaps. This one looks great, feels great, so that's good. Let's get our two T25s back in, and we'll go from there. I will take our window switch, plug that baby in. We're gonna push it in from the back side first. Get these two little tabs into the door card first. Push those back, tuck that in, and we are good to rock and roll. All right, we are halfway there. Now we're gonna move our way to the back here. We're gonna slide our seat all the way forward. This is where it gets fun for a thick fellow like me. So we're gonna slide the seat all the way forward. Get the most we can out of this backrest. And now we are gonna work on this side panel here. So we have a couple things to get out of our way before we can get that off. But let's start with the easiest thing first, which is gonna be the bottom seat cushion. All right, to get the rear seat out, it's super simple. There's 3 tabs that hold it in. You just lift it up and they'll come out. I'm gonna pull this baby forward. All right. Just gently set this to the side. Next, we're gonna work on removing this cushion out. I'm just gonna grab it here from the bottom, give it a nice pull, work our way up. See if we can get it up from here. Sometimes we need to fold the seat down, but these just go, we'll show you later when it goes back in. This just goes into a little hole, and this goes into a plastic clip, which is right here. You just pinch it at the top, like so, and that can go back in here. It can also stay in the car, doesn't matter, but this just goes in like that. Let's set this to the side, and then next we're gonna fold down the rear part of the seat so we can get access to the hardware that holds this little cover in place. We have 3 expanding rivets that hold this on, 1 on the side, 2 up front, and then another door panel clip that lives in here, which is probably gonna stay behind as we pull this out, which is totally fine. All that holds this panel on is a bunch more of these, so we're gonna get a good grip on it. We have some lighting plug to undo here, and we have the 1 speaker plug to undo there. Now we can pull this whole thing out and do the speakers outside. I'm gonna replace these broken clips while I have the door panel. I'm gonna pop these babies out. These back ones are glued in from the factory, probably to keep rattling down if I had to guess. You could heat them up a little bit and get that hot glue out, or just kind of pick it out, whichever way is easier for you. It's gonna work on breaking it free. Now we'll pop our new baby in. All right, it's nice and snug in there. This extra wire, and we're just gonna tuck back here. This baby, we're gonna shove back in here where the old one was. Should have just enough room to wiggle it in. That stays nice and nice. Same thing as before, we're gonna take the foam ring and place that on the outside of our new speaker. Get rid of this. All right, our new clips are on, the speakers are in, the tweeter's in. One thing to note as we go in with this, you want to make sure this little edge here goes back into the trim on the car. Let's do it. Just pulling this trim out a little bit here, this door seal, so it doesn't mess with us. All right, speaker business. Let's plug these babies back in. Okay, that's nice and in. This baby can go back in here. Now let's get this baby lined up. So again, right now I'm just looking at the bottom here, making sure that looks okay. Don't trap your seatbelt behind that. Feeling pretty good about this. We're gonna keep the backrest down, because if we go back up, you'll see it's gonna get in the way of the rear deck lid. So we'll keep that down. Now let's work that rear speaker grill off, similar to how we did the one on the dash. We're gonna work our speaker grill up, again, super gently, just like we did in the front, working our way underneath. Just remember, these are constantly in the sun, so these can get brittle as time goes on, depending on when you're watching this video. So just take your time, work the clips up gently, and try not to break everything. Now with that, we have, just like we did in the front and then on the dash, we have 2 T20s for the tweeter and 3 for the speaker. So use your imagination on what that looks like. I'm gonna zap them out. I'm gonna plug in the speaker side of things, just like we've done on all the other corners, all the way in. Then we're gonna feed our tweeter one through and get this speaker into place. It's annoying that they put the output facing the opposite way of where the wires are going. So we're gonna plug in the tweeter now, and then we can set the speaker back down. And with that in, my good people, that is essentially gonna conclude this DIY. Overall, a really straightforward DIY, a little bit tedious, a little bit tight depending on how big you are, but otherwise a pretty straightforward and rewarding install. All we have left is to slide the bottom seat cushion in, which is probably the easiest job of this whole DIY. Just pull the belt buckles through, and after that, be sure to give this video a thumbs up. you have any questions or comments or tips or tricks for the others watching this video, leave those in the comment section below. And if you like this DIY and you'd like to see more like them, consider subscribing. We make new ones all the time. And if you want to learn more about our M4, head over to FCP Euro Media on YouTube. Subscribe there to see the build, the full build on this car, as well as a couple others on there. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.